Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome to what I'm affectionately calling a turbulent Tuesday. Yes, turbulent Tuesday. I am Reverend Michelle Scrimshaw Brown, the owner, operator, and chief helper at Spirited Healing. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I have been, as many of you, in self isolation for several days. I think I have not seen anybody who I don't live with since Sunday. And one of the people who I was seeing on Sunday that I don't live with had actually come to stay with us for the weekend on Friday. So I actually kind of feel like I've been in self isolation since Friday. Hence the look. I'm not wearing my bracelets. I've got my hair pulled back in a bun with a clamp. I'm not wearing any jewelry. I am here in the moment that I'm in. I can see that some of you are watching. I would love it if you could comment. Now, I know that the way YouTube live stream works, you have to turn yourself off of a mobile watch. If you are on a mobile watch, you want to change it to, I don't know, to regular watch, and then you'll see the chat window in the corner. So that way you can talk with me. I want to know, have you been in self isolation? And how are you feeling in the wake of what is happening around the world? I can tell you that I ebb and flow. And I decided today when I was having a moment of, I don't know, I guess what I could really only call anxiety. I was going through, okay, well, what's going to happen? And obviously, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I like to think that I have some connection to spirit and that spirit likes to let me know what's going on. But it doesn't always work like that. Do you know why? Because just like you, I have to be present in my experience. I don't get to plan too far ahead. Joy of being human is not knowing everything. And so when I was having this anxious moment, I was thinking to myself, okay, Michelle, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to move forward? And I kept getting this reminder about this awesome book that I picked up some years ago. I'm not sure, 2 or 3, maybe more. I've recommended it to a lot of people. It's Pema Chödrön's book called Comfortable. Here, listen, comment and let me know if either of you are self-isolating and whether or not you are either of you feeling the anxiety of what's going around in the world and trying to figure out what to do. So I'm sitting in my space and I'm thinking about, Michelle, what are we going to do? And I mind's eye of this book. And then it occurs to me, I know what I could do. I could use this amazing tool and lead an online book club. Now, I know this is very last minute and it's highly unlikely that any of you people watching have this book. That's fine. Now, if you want to like download the ebook and put it on your e-reader, I'm all for that. If you're a paper girl or a paper guy, I understand that. Paper folks, I get you. You just get what you can, and you don't even need a book because what I'm going to do is read to you. Now, what I love about this book is, so I was starting to tell you that Pema is a Buddhist monk, and part of the Buddhist teachings is the power of 108. So if you've seen me wear malas, some of you probably wear malas, and you probably know that there are 108 beads of mala thread. And the reason for that is because your body has 108 chakras, which you can consciously affect. You actually have 112, but the other 4 chakras bloom in consequence of the alignment of the other 108. So anyway, Pema has written this book, Comfortable with Uncertainty, and it has 108 lessons. Don't you love that? 108 lessons on how to become comfortable within uncertainty. Yes, Jennifer, it is heavy. And hopefully, I'm going to do this every day. And hopefully, you're able to join me every day. And if you're not able to join me, maybe you'll watch the playback and we can get out of that heaviness together. Wouldn't that be ideal? Okay, so let me read you what lesson 1 is. Lesson 1, the love that will not die. That's what this lesson is called. She writes, spiritual awakening is frequently described as a journey to the top of the mountain. We leave our attachments and our worldliness behind and slowly make our way to the top. At the peak, we have transcended all pain. The only problem with this metaphor is that we leave all others behind. Their suffering continues unrelieved by our personal escape. On the journey of the warrior Bodhisattva, the path goes down, not up, as if the mountain pointed down towards earth instead of to the sky. Instead of transcending the suffering of all creatures, we move toward turbulence and doubt, however we can. We explore the reality and the unpredictability of insecurity and pain, and we try not to push it away. Whew. If it takes years, if it takes lifetimes, we let it be as it is. At our own pace, without speed or aggression, we move down and down and down. With us move millions of others, our companions in awakening from fear. At the bottom, we discover water, the healing water of the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is our heart, our wounded, softened heart. Right down there in the thick of things, we discover the love that will not die. This love is bodhicitta. It is gentle and warm. It is clear and sharp. It is open and spacious. The awakened heart of bodhicitta is the basic goodness of all beings. Doesn't that sound lovely? Or maybe it sounds confusing, as you said a few minutes ago, Ella. In the back of this book, thankfully, she includes a glossary. So I want to define for you what the bodhicitta is according to Pema and her teachings. The bodhisattva, which was the first term you heard, the bodhisattva is an enlightened being who comes down for more incarnations, even though their soul has evolved to the point that it needs to be at. It is somebody who comes to teach. So these are commonly considered people like the Buddha, Jesus Christ, Muhammad, and many others. If any of you are familiar with Sai Baba, he would have been considered a bodhicitta. If you're familiar with Amma, she's a living avatar, and they're kind of similar to a bodhisattva, okay? But a bodhicitta, let's see what she defines bodhicitta as. The awakened heart of loving kindness and compassion. Bodhicitta is our natural state, experienced as the basic goodness that links us to every other living being. It has been defined as openness, ultimate truth, our true nature, a soft spot, a tender heart, or simply what is. It combines the qualities of compassion, unconditional openness, and keen intelligence. It is free from concepts, opinions, and dualistic notions of self and other. Relative bodhicitta is the courage to realize this tender, open-hearted quality by tapping into our capacity to love and care for others. Ella, I see your clarification there. And yes, I can understand how you may be feeling confused by what's happening in the world. There's a lot of contradictory information out there, and it's hard to know what to trust. Again, which brought me to the whole notion to have this online book club. So I want to take this back, and we'll read it a paragraph at a time. Ella, I see that you also commented saying, ouch. And I'm not sure if you remember exactly what that was in reference to. If you do, please comment as such so that I can remark, okay? So the beginning of this first lesson, the love that will not die, the first paragraph reads, spiritual awakening is frequently described as a journey to the top of a mountain. We leave our attachments and our worldliness behind and slowly make our way to the top. At the peak, we have transcended all pain. The only problem with this metaphor is that we leave all others behind. Their suffering continues unrelieved by our own personal escape. So I want to take a minute to talk about that. Because one of the things that I discuss a lot in my practice and in the work that I do at the Spirited Healing Academy, where I lead discussions similar to this every week, is really to help people move through their awakening. And often this notion comes up of, well, nobody understands me. Yeah, when people are left behind, this is exactly where we are. Thanks for clarifying, Ella. No, we feel like people don't understand us, that we can't interrelate with the people we used to relate to. We're not able to talk about the things that we used to talk about. And I'm going to jump forward just a little bit because in one of those definitions that we read, I think it was the definition for the bodhicitta, they were talking about how we drop the illusion in the bodhicitta love of duality. So often in spiritual circles, we talk about the dualistic nature, the positive, the negative, the light, the dark. But really, in truth, there is no duality. And we experience it that way because we believe in it, because your thoughts create your reality. But there is no light and dark. There is no them and you. There simply is. And so when we begin to go through our awakening, what can happen, and happens in many cases, happen to myself, and sometimes continues to happen to myself, we feel better than other people. I know we're not supposed to say that, right? We do feel better than other people because we feel like, oh, we get it. They just don't understand. Oh, that's just a young soul. Oh, just wait until they cross that bridge. Oh, then they'll get it. Oh, they'll see that I'm right. We don't have to agree in order for both of us to be right. We don't all have to have the same understanding, the same perception, the same values, the same moral code, the same understanding in order for us to still love one another. Part of what happens when we talk about an awakening process is that we believe we are better than others, and that ego to feel triggered and inflamed, and so it becomes either a little bit more aggressive or becomes really fearful. Does any of that relate for you? And we feel badly about the people whose suffering continues, that is unrelieved by our own personal escape. I want to talk a little bit more about this, but I think I'm not gonna. I have lots of opinions. We'll get there, I'm sure. So the next part here that they talk about is on the journey of the warrior Bodhisattva. So remember, the Bodhisattva is an enlightened soul. Okay. And the warrior is somebody who wants to be in the trench with all of the emotion and the feeling and the pain. So the goal of Buddhism on the whole is to stay present in the pain, okay? To not deny it, to not pretend it's not there, to not keep it at bay. So that is what she is speaking about when she discusses the warrior Bodhisattva. On the journey of the warrior Bodhisattva, the path goes down, not up, as if the mountain pointed towards the earth instead of the sky. Instead of transcending the suffering of all creatures, we move towards turbulence and doubt however we can. So let's pause there for a minute. How does that idea make you feel? Because I'll tell you what, I think we are deep in that now, hey? And what I started to say before, that I'm not sure I actually got out, was I really believe that everything in life is always a microcosm. So what you are experiencing, the microcosm, of the macrocosm, what's happening on a larger global scale. So right now, so many of people on planet Earth are going through their awakening, and we have to duality. For anybody who's new and following, I just want to remind you that if you turn off the mobile setting of this video, you'll be able to comment here and I'll be able to engage with you. So I'm seeing your comment here now, Ella, and we talk a lot about the law of reflection, which is really similar to what I'm discussing now about the microcosm of the macrocosm. You experience on a global scale what you experience here. And what you experience here in your personal life is what is experienced on the global level. So we are here in our own personal awakenings, having to reconcile the fact that all of us are one and that we see in the world a reflection of what we may or may not see of ourselves. And that's why we embrace our triggers. And then we see this on a global level. Do I need all the toilet paper? Do I have milk to give to my neighbor? Am I safe to talk to my neighbor? Do they believe what I believe? Can I get along with them? Are they self-isolating or are they immunocompromised? There's just so much fear here because we have so much fear within ourselves. But if we let go of that fear, if we try not to transcend the suffering, but move towards the turbulence and doubt, we can explore the reality and unpredictability of insecurity and pain, and we try not to push it away. So much of what is happening right now that I do want to say upsets me, that causes me pain, is how divided we seem on this issue of whether or not we should be self-isolating, about whether or not we should be buying all of the things that we need for ourselves for 3 weeks, about whether or not it's safe to talk to our neighbors, about whether or not it's safe to be outside. That's so painful for me. And we have this divide, and that divide is painful. And part of the challenge, in my view, and let me just say, this may or may not be a spiritual truth. This is simply something that is developing and informing within me. And as this continues to be a globally evolving situation from minute to minute, so too are my ideas evolving in that way. So please remember that if you're watching this in a few days or in a few weeks or in a few months. But what I believe is happening here is that when we say, I'm not going to give into fear, I'm going to keep going on with my things, that's actually a fear-based response. It's hard. And many people want to push back with me on that. And many people want to say to me, how is that fear? Well, I don't want to cancel my face-to-face appointments with my clients because it means half of them, I can assume, will be less likely to convert to online conversations. And so I'll probably lose that business. If I lose that business, I lose that income. And maybe they're going to find someone else who does the work similar to what I do, and they'll never come back and be my client. This can be fear-based. So I might say outwardly, oh, I'm not embracing the fear. I'm going to still see clients in my house. And by the way, I'm not. My practice is effectively closed for face-to-face clients. I am in self-isolation. But I can say that because I'm not embracing the fear. And I trust that people who come into my practice are healthy and fine. But what if they're not in 10 days? And that may or may not also be fear. But what I'm really alert to is that I live with a lot of people and that a lot of people rely on me to keep them safe, to keep us safe. And the reality, and this is a really tough one that I haven't even voiced out loud. So hopefully this is going to make sense. The really tough part, and this is where I really think that fear is coming from, is that we are afraid to be alone. We don't want to be alone with our thoughts, with our insecurities, with our abilities and inabilities. Like, think of all the people in the world who don't feel like they're a very good cook right now. And restaurants are being told that they have to close down, and takeout places are closing down, and delivery is happening at a curb. You're afraid to isolate because you might have to learn how to cook. And will you even have the ingredients that you need to cook? And where do you find a recipe? And how am I going to get to a grocery store that has any food? There's so many layers. Even if you do know how to cook and clean for yourself, being alone with you makes you challenge up against that boredom. And there are a couple of teenagers in my house. So believe me, I've been hearing for days how bored they are. But I say to them, The challenge of boredom is that it's asking you to sink into what you want to do. And how long have we been circling around that? And I see your comment here, fearful of being alone, but not for long periods of time. But it's part of this awakening to be alone with ourselves for a long period of time, with our thoughts and our emotions, so that we can bring them all out into the light of day and look at them. Look at them, address them, process them, love them, heal them. Have you seen that quote that's been going around? I cannot remember it exactly, but it's something to the effect of, and the world was still, and the world healed. This is a manifestation of that external notion of awakening where we have to lose all of the people. Can you repeat what I said about boredom? I'm going to try, Ella. I was saying that boredom is your mind calling to your attention where you need to learn what you love. And not just one or two things, because there are not just one or two things that you love, there are a lot of them. And boredom, the whole notion of boredom is trying to push you away from stillness. So there's two things going on. You have to figure out things to entertain yourself, but more importantly, you need to learn to be still. That's why today I was doing coloring. I don't know if you saw that on my Instagram. I was doing some coloring to be still, to let my thoughts just disconnect from the endless scrolling and just be still. Okay, I think I've talked enough. Let me pick this up. So I was just saying, if we explore the reality and unpredictability of insecurity and pain, and we try not to push it away, that's the hard part, right? And that's what that's where I got off with people pushing it away. No, I can't be alone. No, I'm going to keep going to work. No, I'm going to keep tendering out for contracts. Oh, my job needs me. You need you, honey. That's the real truth. You need you. Right? And we try not to push it away. If it takes years, if it takes lifetimes, we let it be as it is. At our own pace, without speed or aggression, we move down and down and down. With us move millions of others, our companions in awakening from fear. At the bottom, we discover water, the healing water of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is our heart, our wounded, softened heart. Right down there in the thick of things, we discover a love that will not die. This love is bodhicitta. It is gentle and warm. It is clear and sharp. It is open and spacious. The awakened heart of the bodhicitta is the basic goodness of all beings. So it sounds beautiful to get to that place of unconditional love that is soft and vulnerable. But how do we get from where we are right now? Give me that toilet paper. Give me that. It's the last one. To over here. Here, take the toilet paper. How do we get from there to here? Well, I've said this for a long time, and I'll say it again. We have to see our ugliness. We have to see our faults and our failings before we can really step into changing them. We have to see where we struggle to think of our neighbor. We have to see where we struggle to think of something other than ourselves. We have to see what we fear. We live such a comfortable life here on the whole in North America. We think we do, but all of our basic needs, generally speaking, are consistently met, right? And I think, certainly for me, that's probably the biggest fear right now. What does life look like if I don't have all of my needs consistently met? Now, again, for anybody who is new and following, if you are watching on a mobile device, you need to switch your view from mobile to not mobile so that you can comment here in the chats and I can engage with you and answer your questions that are coming up. We are so blessed, Ella. We are so blessed. So blessed that we're fighting over toilet paper. If we really knew lack, we'd be fighting over the dried lentils. If we really knew lack, we would not be buying the last of the bags of chips. We'd be buying the frozen vegetables and fruits. This is not to downplay where we are, because as this lesson has said, right in the middle here, oh, not lesson 2, I'm skipping ahead, that's tomorrow. What it said here is that instead of transcending the suffering of all creatures, we move towards turbulence and doubt however we can. We must be in the moment we are in. We must honor our feelings of insecurity and uncertainty. We must acknowledge them. Does it make you vulnerable? Yes. But I'll tell you what I have learned irretrievably in my life to be a truth. Your power, full stop, 100% guaranteed, your power is in your willingness to be vulnerable. When you share what you're nervous about, when you share that you're scared, when you share your anxieties, you create space for other people to know they are not alone. And that is how we connect. Ella, up thread, you talked about not wanting to be alone. And I understand that. And when you tell people what your fears are, you learn you are not alone. Is it the same as having tea with a friend across from a table? No, not exactly. Is it the same as meeting somebody for lunch or going for a walk? Not exactly. But what I love about this moment in time is that we're having to get still. We're having to get still and love ourselves and to learn how to connect with the world as the energetic beings of love and light that we are. That bodhicitta that we were talking about in this first lesson. That's our power right there. And our willingness to be vulnerable and share our fears and our worries and our love. And that's pretty extraordinary. Okay. I'm going to read this through one last time. And if anyone has any comments or any questions you want to ask, please post them now, because otherwise we're getting ready to wrap up. Okay? Okay. Lesson number 1, the love that will not die. Spiritual awakening is frequently described as a journey to the top of the mountain. We leave our attachments and our worldliness behind, and slowly we make our way to the top. At the peak, we have transcended all pain. The only problem with this metaphor is that we leave all others behind. Their suffering continues, unrelieved by our personal escape. On the journey of the warrior Bodhisattva, the path goes down, not up, as if the mountain pointed towards the earth instead of the sky. Instead of transcending the suffering of all creatures, we move toward turbulence and doubt however we can. We explore the reality and the unpredictability of insecurity and pain, and we try not to push it away. If it takes years, if it takes lifetimes, we get to be as it is. At our own pace, without speed or aggression, we move down and down and down. With us move millions of others, our companions in awakening from fear. At the bottom, we discover water, the healing water of bodhicitta. A bodhicitta is our heart, our wounded, softened heart. Right down there in the thick of things, we discover the love that will not die. This love is bodhicitta. It is gentle and warm. It is clear and sharp. It is open and spacious. The awakened heart of bodhicitta is the basic goodness of all beings. And so it is. Ella wants me to read her stories every day. Well, my plan is to be here for the foreseeable future every day, working through each of these 108 lessons. Maybe we're going to do 108 days. I don't know. Wouldn't that be something, huh? But working through each one of these together daily. So I'll be back here again tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be an evening thing. I think tomorrow I'm going to shoot for an afternoon around 2 o'clock. But make sure you've subscribed to this channel. There should be a button. If you are logged into YouTube, you should be able to click subscribe. If you subscribe there, then you will be notified when I'm going to go live, okay? Or you could follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/spiritedhealing. I will also post there when I'm going to go live. And yeah, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we are all here. This moment is happening for us somehow, some way. I know that to be a permanent truth in my life. And I'm going to leave you with a quote. It's my favorite quote in times like these. And it came from, I think it's called the Magnolia Hotel. Everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, then it's not the end. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I hope to see you all here again tomorrow. Bye.